Afternoon, Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. The last video I put up was the one I was at the airport waiting for Mama, and I was sitting in the truck, and I talked about the three-legged dog and chasing things that get you in trouble, and learning to eventually quit chasing those things. And and on videos before that, I've gotten a lot of questions. A lot of folks want me to address heartbreak and heartache. Um, Now, I want to say here, I want to stop here and say here, um, I know that I get a lot of emails sent to me asking for counsel and asking for advice on certain things. I read all the emails, um, but I don't answer them. Okay, and I don't want those who have reached out and sent emails asking for counsel on certain things. Um, I don't want you to think I don't read them, and I don't want you to think that I don't care because I haven't answered, and I don't answer. Probably not going to answer. The reasons I, I, I just feel like I need to share this. There's two reasons why I don't answer them. Number one, I'm not a therapist. I, I'm just a dude. I'm just a guy who's kind of been through some stuff, who raised kids, who kind of points out some things, and just tries to kind of help with general direction in life. When it comes to individual counsel, there's people out there that are way more qualified than I am. And when a question comes to me, a few sentences on a page, I don't know the whole story. I don't know everybody involved. I don't know. And I don't feel like I have the right um, to start giving out counseling via email. And I think it sets a dangerous precedent. And so it's not a question of I don't care about your situation. It's a question of I question my ability and my right, given that circumstances, to start handing out personal advice and um, personal counsel. And so it's to protect you from my own folly and failings and foolishness. It's to protect you from a complete stranger not knowing the entire situation, giving you the wrong kind of advice. Okay, I hope you understand that, and I hope that makes sense. Um, the other thing is the sheer volume that comes in. If I started doing that, that would be 8 to 10 hours a day for the rest of my life, just sitting there answering these emails, and that's not who I am. Okay, it's not. It's not. It's just not who I am. Okay, and but I do read them, and I do care, and and there's times when I'll stop and it'll be so heavy and I'll feel such a burden. I will pray, and I'll pray over it and I'll pray for you. I know some of you that doesn't mean anything to you, but I at least want you to know that I do read everything that comes in and I do care. But I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy who can start counseling and giving this stuff out. Okay, and so I almost feel like I need to apologize for not being that guy, but that that's why. Um, but I can give some general what I do. I can just give some general opinions and viewpoints on life and things that I have been through. Um, so guys get on here and they say, I have been, and ladies too, I have been looking for love for years, and it's just been one crash after another, and I keep looking and I keep searching and I keep trying to find that right one, and I can't find that right one. And then others get on here and say, I thought I had the right one. We were together for 3 years, and then suddenly they upped and left, or whatever, and I'm heartbroken and I can't seem to get over it. um, my my take on this is, first off, on the one side of things, stop searching, stop looking. Okay, um, you don't find love. Okay, you don't find love. It's not something you go out and search for. You're not hunting deer. You're not hunting an elk. You're not hunting a spouse. You're working on yourself and becoming the spouse maybe that somebody else would be hunting for. And then when it's right, the right people meet. Now that sounds so trite, but I'm telling you that if you feel like I'm walking in deep water here, if you search for something hard enough, you will convince yourself that you have found what you're searching for. If you look for a flaw in a person, this is an illustration. If you look for a flaw in a person, if you look hard enough, you'll find it. All right? If you've been hurt in church, if you've been hurt in religion, if you've been hurt by pastors or whatever before, and you meet a new pastor, doesn't matter how good he is, if you search hard enough, you will find something in that person that you can be offended at. Well, it's the same thing. If you search hard enough for that love of your life, you'll find it, but it won't be it. Okay? I don't know if I can make that make sense. You want to find that mate. You want to find it so hard that you will create in your mind, you will form them in your mind to what you want them to be because you're searching so hard. But if you stop searching, number one, you'll stop the frustration. All right? You'll stop the frustration and you'll find peace. And I've mentioned this in video before, until you find peace in who you are, you can't not get that peace from somebody else. All right? If you're going to find a soulmate, you guys are going to be brought together. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen that way, it's not something you want. That's why it keeps failing. It keeps breaking. Because you want it so bad that you will search so hard that when you meet someone, you will desperately check off all the boxes that meet what you're looking for, and you will desperately ignore all the boxes that are what you don't need because you're searching too hard. All right? So that's my recommendation to those who are looking for a mate, who are looking for that person. Stop looking. It's a sorry example, but how many of you have torn your house apart looking for the remote control and didn't find it? When you stop looking and go to Walmart and buy you another universal remote control, you'll find the old one when you stop looking. Okay? It's a poor example, poor illustration, but chew on it, think about it, meditate on it, look back over your life, and I think maybe you'll see a little nugget there that might help you. On the other side of things, I can't speak too familiarly with that subject. Both my parents are still alive. All my siblings are still alive. I've never lost to death anyone that I was really close to. My grandparents, I was pallbearer at my grandfather's funeral when I was 14, on my 14th birthday. But my mother was the baby of 12 kids. And so by the time I came along, there were so many grandkids running around. I was just another number yelling through the house. My grandfather had a stroke. He couldn't speak. I never heard my grandfather say a word. Never heard him speak. And I know, I knew I was loved and everything, but I was just another number. And when my grandparents on my mom's side passed, uh, I wasn't close to them, so there wasn't that devastating loss, that heartbreak, if if that makes sense. But I have had loss, and I have had heartbreak, um, and it's so trite, but this too shall pass. Okay, it will pass. Time does heal all wounds. Now it doesn't seem like it for you right now, um, but in the meantime, what would I advise? What do I suggest? I suggest you move on. I suggest you move on. Um, some of you have lost a girlfriend that you were thought was the one, and they're gone, and you still have her picture on your phone. I bet money. You still have her number in your phone. You still have things around the house. Um, just yesterday's gone. Just purge it and move on. And it's like a wound. It's like a cut. All right. It'll start scabbing over, but we'll just keep ripping that scab off. We'll keep picking that scab off. We'll just keep on. And so it doesn't heal. All right. It's not easy. I know. And it hurts. I know. And it seems like you'll never get over it. That loss. The loss of your mom. The loss of your grandfather. The loss of a best friend that got killed in a car wreck. Cherish their memory. Cherish their memory and honor their memory, but keep going on with life and just keep moving forward, and and in time and in time it'll ease. It does. I know it seems such shallow, trite, easy advice, but it's just the way of humanity. It's the way of mankind. It's been like this since man began. Death is as much a part of life as life itself. You cannot have one without the other. All right? So just, it's not much help, but there it is, and I hope it helps a little bit. Okay? Couple of things. I've been asked and pleaded with and begged and hammered and nagged and cajoled for months now, and so I have finally pulled the trigger. I started a podcast, and so it's the guy who's doing it. I don't know nothing about it. Okay, I just provide content and send it to the guy that's smarter than me. And he said, just tell you that anywhere that you normally listen to podcasts, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever, you can find it on there. It's Dry Creek Wrangler. And so we've started taking the videos that will lend itself to that and pulling the audio off and posting them. And so you'll recognize some of the titles. And then I've started recording new stuff that is just specifically for the podcast. And we're going to see how that goes. And so don't ever let it be said that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because this old dog has learned a lot of new tricks in the last year. Okay? So there is a podcast, Dry Creek Wrangler, wherever you go to watch podcasts. I don't know. Don't forget Mama's channel, Dry Creek Mama, if you haven't checked that out yet. And, let's see. Patreon account. We do have a Patreon account for those who are wanting to support what we're trying to do here and trying to build. And what is the cigar? Just because I know if I don't say it, you're going to ask. And some of you are going to ask anyhow. I don't think in all of the videos I've put out, I never have a cigar or a pipe that somewhere in the video I don't say what it is. It's so funny, I'll post a video and somebody get on and say, hey man, what's that cigar you're smoking? I won't even answer. That just tells me they didn't watch the whole video. Okay? This is an Oliva V Melanio Maduro. It's box pressed. It's a very robust, very dark, rich, robust cigar with a lot of flavor and a lot of nuances to it. It's not one that I have all the time, but sometimes when I'm wanting that intense extra, with a lot of flavor, I'll pull one of these out. It's not just super strong like a who makes the, what am I trying to think of? Mine just went blank. Cigar guys know, like the Vengeance. Who makes the Vengeance? Um, well, starts with a K. I'm having a senior moment here. Christoph, thank you. I say thank you to myself. Mama's like, I don't know. The Christoph Vengeance, you know, some of those are they're just strong for the sake of being strong to me. But this is not like that. And so these part of the cigars that was sent to me by cigarplace.biz. They're a sponsor on here, and that's where, if I order online cigars, that's where I get them all now. And I've had some of you have contacted me back, said, man, I checked those guys out and they did me really well. They were good priced, shipping was really quick, and they were boxed well, and they're a good bunch of guys. They take good care of me, and so I want to put that out there. And I think that's about it. So I just, time, man, time. Okay. Click like if you like it, subscribe if you haven't, hit that bell so you're notified when I put something else out. And if you know somebody that's going through a bit of a heartbreak right now, or somebody who's frustrated because they cannot find that mate they're looking for, and you say, you know what, that might help them, then just click share and send it on over to them, and we'll catch you guys next time. Good morning. Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. We got a morning here. We got a new class coming in, next to the last class for this year, being this afternoon. So Mama and I are taking the chance and taking the opportunity to make another video this morning. I've been chewing on this. We didn't make a video for a couple of weeks, and then I just posted 2 videos. They were both horse related. And this topic I've been chewing on for a little while, but I've been hesitant to put it up because I didn't really have things clear in my mind. But I'm going to take a chance this morning and see what we come up with. For the last many weeks, I've gotten a lot of contacts, comments on the channel, emails, different things about young men, especially. I mean, it's pandemic around the world, I think, but young men, especially in this country, who are just feeling isolated and alone. It's a really bad situation in this country. Mama sent me a video link of a guy, and he was talking about in this country, the numbers of when it comes to suicides, when it comes to homelessness, when it comes to prisons, the numbers of men in these situations are astronomically higher than women. And then this same guy read a lot of the feedback from women, and it was horrible. They were celebrating the fact that men are three times more likely to commit suicide. I just can't, and it's no wonder good men in this world are backing away from women and saying, look, this is not right. And when this attitude pervades, feminists cannot sit there and say we're only about equality. Let me give you a thought, ladies. And I'm gonna get a lot of grief for this. And I don't care. I don't know you, and I ain't scared of you. Okay? If a man is here and you want to be equal, and the only way you can get equal is to band together and tear him down so that you can be at his level, you're not equal. You're not equal. Okay? You're a parasite. I'm not going to go any further into that, all right? Because I will get wound up and get scratchy. Men, You're feeling isolated and alone and lonely. What do? You can't find a good woman these days, it seems like. And they're out there. Let me tell you right now, there's good women are still out there. They come through here. We meet them around, and there are still really good, solid women of values who value themselves, who value the men around them. They're just harder to find. So what's a guy to do? Look, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not trained. I don't. Okay, I don't know. Uncle Dwayne. You go sit down and have a cup of coffee and a cigar and say, hey man, I don't know what to do. All I can do is give you my view. Maybe it'll help. Maybe it won't. Speaking of cigar, Perdomo Inmenso 70. It's the only Perdomo cigar I've ever purchased that disappointed me. I bought a box of them. I really like the 70 gauge. Sitting around of an evening, it gives me a lot of time. But this cigar has been the least pleasing of any Perdomo cigar I've ever had. It's not that I don't like it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be having one this morning. But it just, to me, it doesn't measure up. It's a Maduro made in Nicaragua. Everything should be, and it's from a great company. Everything should be, but this is like, I'm down to 3 out of the box, and I have not yet had what I call a mustache burner. One that's so good I don't want to let it go, and it gets all the way down to the point I'm afraid it's going to burn my mustache. A great cigar is a mustache, but it's, it's pretty decent, and I do like the size. But I mean, I'm getting a hot spot right here, back away from my burn, and they're just, I don't know. But it's still it's better than some other cigars. But I wanted one this morning just because of the size. So let's look at it, guys. Loneliness, and what is the answer to loneliness? Well, if you're lonely, I mean, it stands to reason that you're not finding people, outside people, that you can connect with on a physical level, an emotional level, a mental level, a spiritual level, whatever, wherever you're at. Now, it's harder for some people, and I understand personalities. I understand there's difficulty in this. Like, for me, I'm very comfortable in my own head. I'm very comfortable alone for hours at a time, for days at a time. It doesn't mean I haven't felt loneliness. It doesn't mean that I don't feel lonely at times, but it's not acute. It's not something I can't deal with. And to me, from what I see, is the one companion. Let's think this through. The one companion outside of God, if you follow God, if you believe in God and you have Him, then there's always a friend that sticketh closer to a brother. But we're talking about the human issue. The one companion that's always going to be with you is yourself. And I think the first thing we have to do is we have to get ourselves to the point where we don't necessarily need a companion. Now, when God created, in the Bible, when God created Adam, and then He looked down, He looked at Adam, He said, it's not good that man be alone. That's why He created Eve. It's not ideal. But it's doable, and sometimes it beats the alternative. And ladies, it's the exact same thing. It's better to be by yourself than it is to be with a bad man. But sometimes we choose less than ideal companions, because to us that beats the alternative of not having any companion. And the reason why we cannot face the concept of not having any companion is because we're not comfortable with ourselves as a companion. We don't want to be left alone by ourselves with ourselves. So we come in and we sit down and we get on our phone, or we turn on the TV, or we go wherever, we do whatever, because we don't want to face the reality of being by ourselves with ourselves. And so, fellas, I would say one of the things I would recommend that you think about, chew on, look into, is start making yourself a companion that you're comfortable with. Now, that sounds kind of maybe not real mainstream, but if you had a friend, if you had a person you're going to sit down and spend all the time with, what would you want from that person? What would you want? Well, I would want to spend time with somebody who's honest. Makes sense? I don't want to spend time with somebody who's going to be lying to me all the time. Someone who's going to gently tell me the truth about myself. One of the hardest things sometimes for the human to do is get to the point where they stop lying to themselves, where they tell themselves the truth. They speak the truth to themselves. Now, you got to face the reality of who you are. You got to face the reality of what you are. All right? And nobody's going to tell you that like you yourself will tell you that. You want to tell yourself the truth, but you want to tell yourself the truth in understanding and forgiveness. I look back at things in my life, and I can't say it was somebody else's fault. I can't say I didn't do that. I can't say this is why I did that, so that made it all right. I mean, all the way back, human, our entire lives. So I got to tell myself the truth. Yeah, that was not okay. But then at the same time, I have to tell myself that you're a human, and you made it right, and you're making it right, and it's okay. It's okay. Wherever you've been in the past that's bad, if you're not still there, your companion, which is yourself, needs to feel free to tell you it's okay. That was a bad place to be. That was a bad person to be. But you're not that person anymore, and you're not in that place anymore. But if you're with yourself and yourself is always beating you up, you're not going to want to be with yourself. If I'm sitting out here by myself in the evening, by a fire, cup of coffee and a cigar, and I'm constantly beating myself up over my failures in the past, I'm not someone that I want to be alone with. Does it make sense? All right? You got to make yourself. And then the next thing I would want from a companion is I would want someone who is encouraging, who sees the possibility in the future, who gently pushes me and encourages me to get out of the rut, to get out of the hole, to get out of the sheepfold, to get out of the swamp that I'm in, and to move on and do better. You want someone who's going to encourage you. Well, if you don't have somebody who's going to do that, become that somebody. And again, now I'm blessed. I mean, I've got mama. Okay, I'm not speaking. I've got something a lot of you guys don't. I have mama, but at the same time, I have a very comfortable relationship with myself. All right, and sometimes if you don't have someone like mama, yourself is what you have, and you need to encourage yourself. You need to look around, and you need to be able to encourage yourself and say, look, I'm not stuck here unless I choose to stay here. I get people get on the channel all the time and they're like, Dwayne, you're out of touch. You don't know what you're talking about. You're out in the country. Those of us in the city, we don't have that opportunity. Well, now, I've been in a lot of cities, and I've never been in a city that had a big wall around it that wouldn't let you out. If you actually want to leave, you actually want to get away from the crime, from the homelessness, from the situations that are being bred in the cities today, leave. Now, sometimes you can't. I'm not totally stupid. Sometimes you can't. But a lot more of you can than can't. Now, it takes courage. It takes courage. It takes sacrifice. I mean, if I was single and in some of these cities, and I read what's going on in these cities, and I read about the politics and the crime and the homelessness and the cost of living and the cost of rent and the cost of groceries and the inability to do all this stuff, I'd sell everything I could sell, put enough in the backpack, and I'd walk out. I'd sell my car, I'd sell everything. Don't tell me it can't be done. Watch the video on there. I hitchhiked and took a bus from Tennessee to Cody, Wyoming, and picked up cigarette butts in the campground for soup and a sandwich and a place to stay until I finally got a job. Now, that job was $350 a month, but it included a room in a bunkhouse, and it got me started. Don't tell me it can't be done. It takes guts. And you need to have a companion. You need to be a companion that's going to gently encourage you and give you the courage to take that next step and to do better and to be better. I know, guys, I know that the physical aspects of a relationship, I know that they're positive. I know that they are things that is hardwired in us to search for. But it's not something we gotta have. It's not something we have to have. And the hell that you go through with these relationships just in order to have someone to sleep with from time to time is not worth the destruction that it's doing to your soul and to your spirit and to your life. It's not worth it. Become your own man. Become your own man. If these feminazis want to burn their own world down around them, let them do it. You don't have to be in it. You don't need their world, and you don't need them. You don't need them. I was asking Deanna this morning, I was reading this stuff, and I'm like, if these women have their way, are they going to get out and asphalt these highways? Are they going to get up on these high lines and do this? I'm not saying they can't, but I'm saying they dang sure won't. Are they going to do sewer lines? Are they going to go into burning buildings and haul people over their shoulder down off the ladders? Here and there, scattered here and there, there's one, but women as a whole are not going to do this. And that's fine, that's their business. They can live their life as they want. I'm not here bashing women, but I am totally fed up with this whole feminazi movement that is destroying the young men in this country. And nobody can destroy you if you won't let them. All right? Don't let them. You're a man. You are a man. Stand up and be a man. Make the hard decisions. Make the sacrifices. Make the unpopular decisions. And become comfortable in your own skin. And if you are not a person that you are comfortable being alone with, that is the one person in this universe that you have full power, full right, and full responsibility to change. Okay? I don't have the right, I don't have the desire to, and I do not have the right to try to change my wife's personality and who she is. I don't have the right to change anybody except myself. Now, there's people out there I don't like, and if I don't like them, I just walk away. I'm 55 years old. I've done without that person my whole dang life. I don't need them now. And I don't have the right or the desire to try to change them. But if I don't like me, if I'm not comfortable being with me, well, that's a different story. All right? So, it doesn't provide all the answers. Probably doesn't provide any answers. I don't know. But maybe there's a little bit of encouragement there. Maybe there's a little seed, a little step, a little something that you can say, hey, you know what? I think that'll help me. And listen, just be strong. Stay strong. And ladies, I'm not bashing women, but I am bashing this godless, hateful movement that is destroying this country and destroying the men in this country. Okay? It's not. And fellas, just don't. Let me add one more thing here, all right? I'm choosing my words. Give me a moment. It is human nature. It is human nature when the pendulum swings too far one way. When the pendulum swings too far one way, we react and swing that pendulum too far the other way. All right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. All right? Don't do that. Do not react to this with the opposite all the way over here. Don't be hateful and mean and derogatory to women. All right? I am referring obliquely to a former kickboxer who now resides in Europe somewhere, who has been all the rage. There's some things he says that he's right and he's spot on, but his pendulum has swung too far the other way. Okay? And some impressionable young men have taken it that way. We're not at war, fellas. Regardless of how this side wants to frame this picture, we are not at war with women. All right? We're not. You be that warrior in that garden. All right? And you stand strong. You be a strong man. You be a good man. And you just let the world rage around you. All right? I hope this helps. And my heart's with you guys. And anything I can do to help, I'll be happy to do. And so, we'll catch y'all next time. Am I inside looking out or outside looking in? And can I help but doubt that I'm ever going to win if I cannot tell whether I am the spectator or the sport? This world is very fast, but I am frightful slow. Yet I hold on to the past, while in my heart I know that the past gets left behind with any fool bound to it. But my ways are still my ways, because whose else can they be? So I will weave today on a loom I've built for me, a cloth, both coarse and rustic, with a pattern vaguely primeval. Morning, Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. It's November 6th, the first Sunday after the last class and the last students have left, and just kind of taking it easy around here today. And Mom and I want to make a video, and I want to kind of continue on with some of the thoughts that we've been doing on the last videos. I didn't really want to. I thought that I just wanted to kind of give my advice and my opinion and move on. I didn't want to pontificate about stuff, but there's been so much, the conversation has swollen so much that I just kind of felt like maybe as much as I'd like to be, I'm not done yet. Louis L'Amour said there's no stopping a man that knows he's right and just keeps on coming. And fellas, the world, whether it be the hateful militant feminist movement or the job situation or your whatever your life situation, they can't stop you if you know you're right and you just keep on coming. I have a video on the channel that I did several months ago on catching hard to catch horses. Yeah, I went with getting my pipes back out. This is a Nording that Mama got me for Father's Day. And my current favorite tobacco, it's Cobblestone Outdoors, the hiking. And it's It's just a straight burley tobacco, and I'm really liking it. If you were to ask me, if we were to be totally honest and not be doing horseman speak, and you were to ask me, you would say, Dwayne, how do you catch a hard to catch horse? I don't. Keep that thing lit. I don't have any panels set up. I don't have any chutes. And I can't rope for beans. And roping a horse can be a little bit of a tricky deal. I don't catch horses. I don't catch horses that are hard to catch. I tell people here all the time when they come in here to the class, you'll not physically catch a horse until they're caught mentally. You go out in a pasture and that horse is hard to catch. Until you catch that horse mentally, until that horse decides on its own, well, I'm caught. I give up. You're not going to catch them physically. They're bigger than you are. They're faster than you are. They're stronger than you are. And you're not going to catch them. So I go out there, and the horse that I want to catch, I go. Now I come into his shoulders, as you guys have watched and learned. He moves away, and I stay in the proper position. And I stay there until such a time as he says mentally, oh, this guy caught me. And until he says this guy caught me, I never caught him. Think about that and chew on that. The other thing I do, and the horse people, you'll understand this, and maybe you've never looked at it like this before, but I mean, let's face it, it's a reality. I also lie to him. I trick him. Now he'll go around and around and around, and people will do this in a round pen. And it's just another way of looking at it. It's very viable. It works, okay? The big foundation of horsemanship is pressure and release. You push pressure, and at the right time, you release that pressure. So I'll push him, and at some point, he'll try and look at me. And when he does, I'll stop. I'll take a step back. What am I doing? I'm lying to him. I'm saying, if you face me, I won't keep coming and try to catch you. That's one way to look at it. Some of you look at it different, but I think if you're open-minded, you'll understand, especially if you've done this before. And that's what the world will do. They'll push you, and they'll push you, and they'll push you. And sometimes you'll just stop and say, well, I can't get away from them, so I'm caught. And when you do that, guess what? You're caught. But sometimes what they'll do is they'll stop, and they'll take a step back, and they will release that pressure. All right? Women are great at it. It's part of their instinct. They'll nag, and all of a sudden they'll stop and sweet talk. And when they stop and sweet talk, you're like, oh man, I love that sweet talk. I'm going to come in for the sweet talk. Boom. You're catched. You're catched. All right? Guys, you're not caught physically until you say you're caught mentally. As long as you know you're right and keep on coming, they can't stop you. They can't stop you. All right? Everybody, if you're conservative, and I don't mean, I'm not speaking strictly what your politics are. I don't care who you vote for. But if you're logical and you're reasonable, and you believe that a man ought to work for a living, he ought to make an honest wage for an honest day's work. If you believe that right is right, wrong is wrong. If you believe that everybody's life matters. If you believe that people ought to treat people with respect and with dignity, they're going to try to catch you. And they're going to try to throw you down. They're going to try to tie you. And they're going to try to put their brand on you. Don't let them. Don't let them. You say, Dwayne, what do I do to keep from being caught? Keep moving, buddy. Keep moving. In your mind, stay free. In your mind, stay free. Okay? And then you weave on a loom. You have built for you the cloth that you want to have. All right? Hope this helps, and just stay strong, keep moving, stay true to your morals, stay true to your standards, and those who want to catch you, just keep walking away. Just keep walking away. As long as you keep walking away, they can't catch you. All right? Love you guys. We'll catch y'all next time. Morning. Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. So today is Thursday, and we got a class here this week, and we got an extra student, so we got 6. Wound up just a booking situation, and but we've got a horse that's kind of lame, so we're short a horse. So Mama and Noah, my apprentice, took the ride out this morning. They're on about a 3-hour ride, and I thought, well, I'm a little behind on an upload, so I'd take this opportunity and make a video. So got a SMS Meerschaum. I love a Meerschaum pipe, and I'm smoking Mac Baren Original Choice in it. That's about one of the only Cavendish semi-aromatic blends that I'll smoke. But it's pretty mild and smooth today, so that's what we got going on. I know some of you guys will ask. You know, down at the ranch house, we've got a fire pit. Now it's not really a pit. It's one of those fire pits that you buy. We bought this one from Big R, and it's, you know, it's got the screen lid that you put on it, and we have fires down there quite a bit of an evening. But you know, when we're about done for the evening, we don't go get gallons of water and pour on the fire. We don't bring in a wheelbarrow of sand and start shoveling on the fire. There's different ways to put fires out. Usually what we do is we just sit there, and I ask them, they really like to feed wood to the fire. So I asked the ones who are going to stay, I said, are you guys going to be up here much later? And usually they're like, no, probably another hour. And because I leave early, I go down pretty early. I'm not a late night person. So I'll tell them, I'm like, well, we probably don't need to put any more wood on it then, because we don't want to go to bed with a big old fire out here left unattended. So what we do to put the fire out is we quit putting fuel on it, and the fire goes out. Now sometimes if we're ready to go to bed and there's a couple of logs down in there that's charred and still kind of burning and whatnot, we'll take a poker and we'll separate them out. Are you listening to what I'm saying? We'll separate them out. We'll take that one log and move it to this side, and take this log and move it to this side. And if they're not together, they'll both just burn out. And then we go on to bed. And you know, there's a lot of fires in life, and people think that the only way to put a fire out, whether it's a fire in a relationship, a fire in, you know, any kind of trouble, any kind of trial, is you've got to attack that fire, and you got to pour water over it, you got to pour sand over it or whatever. But you know, sometimes the best way to stop a fire from burning is to stop feeding it. And another way to put a fire out, you ever taken a candle or sitting there burning and take a jar, turn it upside down and put it over the candle, and the candle goes out? Why? Because another way to put fire out is to remove the oxygen. If you remove the oxygen, the fire goes out. You know, even a Proverbs says, this will probably won't be exact, but where there is no fuel, the fire goeth out. Where there is no wood, the fire goeth out. It's the same with our horses. You know, I saw a B movie. I'm not a big movie guy. I don't hardly watch movies, but I was on a plane or something somewhere few years ago, and I saw a movie that had that wrestler, Stone Cold Steve Austin, in it, and but he had a line in that movie, and guy came up and he looked at him and said, "Look, don't start none, won't be none." And it's amazing how much we can settle our life down and settle conflict down if we just kind of take that up as our mantra. Don't start none, won't be none. and somebody sits there and they'll build a fire, and you just look at it and you're like, I'm not adding wood to that fire. And so the fire will eventually go out. That conflict will go out if we stop adding fuel to it, or if we stop adding oxygen to it. It's going to just go out. And it works with people and it works with horses. You know, so many times we get in a fight with our horse, and the fight's not necessary. Um, it takes two to fight, whether it's a person or a horse or whatever it is. It takes two to fight, and you know, a lot of times you can just, I'm not going to engage. And they're raging and they're foaming at the mouth and they're carrying on person or horse or whatever, and you're like, sorry, I'm not going to engage. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm not fighting about this, and there is no fight. It goes out. I One of my recent videos, I was talking about my new bay mare Ray, and how we went to Jingle Inn, and it didn't work out the way I planned because she went on the fight. So we just stopped. That tobacco's a little bit moist. You can hear the moisture rattling down in the pipe there. So we stopped. I let the horses leave, and she wanted to charge after them, and she wanted to buck, and she wanted to kick, and she wanted to fight. And I'm like, no, we're not going to fight. And after a minute, she just settled down. It's like, okay. The horses came in, and then we followed in, and we got the job done, and we got it done without a fight. Well, you know, I've been thinking about that, and I thought, you know, I wonder if I read that just a little bit too, if I read her right on that. Well, last week my son was here visiting for a day. He was here for 2 days, actually. And we came up here to get a horse. He took Reba the mule, those who know us and you follow, he took Reba the mule with him to Idaho up on the mountain because she just needs a bunch of work. And they were short some animals. And so we came up here to get her, and everything was out, and they had to be jingled in. So I said, Jesse, why don't you take Ray and check her out for me, see what you think? And because he really wanted to ride her, I said, and you go get them in. Well, it turns out he did the same thing. Went out there, got them started, and then when they took off, I saw him stop. It was way out there, but I saw him stop, and the horses come running in, and he messed with her for a little bit, and then he calmly came in. I asked him what happened. He said, she wanted to fight. And he said, I felt her bunch up. Now, I'll be the first one to sit here and admit, Jesse sits a horse and rides bucking horses and everything way better than I do. He doesn't have the years as far as, you know, the horse, the psychology and the horse instinct and reading the horse quite to that degree, but he's an excellent horseman. And he rides a horse better than I do. And I thought, well, then I am justified, because if someone who sits a horse as well as Jesse does took the exact same approach in the exact same situation as I did, but it's like stopped and there is no fight. A lot of times you get in an arena or in a round pen or you're out, and your horse is scared of fly spray, and you go to fly spray and they don't like it. They're not going to take it, and they kind of, and if you push it, you get on the fight, and there'll be a fire, but there doesn't have to be a fire. There doesn't have to be a fight. And now sometimes the fire gets so big and we didn't start it and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, I mean, you wake up and the house is smoking, you find out the kitchen's on fire, you're going to aggressively go in there and try to put the fire out. And in relationships, sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes the only way you can put the fire out is to attack it with everything you have. But that's rare. I mean, how often does your house catch on fire? You know, in the old days, out on the prairies, they'd have prairie fires, and they still do at times. And you know, a lot of times what the farmers would do, they would hitch up their plows real quick. They see the fire coming towards them, well, they're not going to rush out there and fight that fire. they can't fight that fire. So they hitch up their plows and they just start plowing a ring around the homestead, around the house, or just in front of it, in between them and the fire. And they'll plow as much as they can get plowed between them and the fire. Well, the fire will burn into a point, and what happens when they plow is a plow turns the earth over. So all the dead grass, all of the fuel that the fire would burn, when the fire gets to that, there's no fuel. They just made that fuel disappear. They just turned it over, and fire won't burn the earth. And so the homesteads would be saved, the houses, the barns, the livestock, and everything be saved because they just went out there and just removed the fuel. Just remove the fuel. Just remove the fire. And there's too much. This world, man, there's just too much conflict. There's just too much. People are just going around and people are just so agitated and they're angry at this person and they're fussing with this person and they're sniping back and forth on Facebook with this person. And if somebody just say, okay, and just remove, no, I'm not going to throw another stick of wood on that fire. I'm not going to. You're welcome to believe and to think what you want to think, and I'm not obligated to get on here and to change your mind. It is not my obligation and my responsibility to change your mind. It happens all the time on not all the time. I'm not going to say that. It not near as much as it used to. But it happens quite often on the channel, on the YouTube channel, in the comments. Somebody get on, and I had somebody, last week or so get on, and they were a little bit scratchy about something, and they said something that was not accurate. And so I got on there and to explain myself and say, this is what this is where I was coming from, and this is what I was saying. And they came back on real quick, scratchy. And I said, well, you know what? You can believe what you want to believe. It's okay. I don't feel a responsibility to sit here and discuss this with you. And they got back and said, well, I'm so disappointed. I thought we were going to have a dialogue and a conversation. No, you didn't. You thought we were going to have an argument. And people are looking for an argument. And I'm not going to argue. I'm just not going to argue. And that's what you need. Many of you need to start developing this outlook in life. Don't start none. Won't be none. Don't engage. If you have a fire, if you have a little smoky, smoldering fire and it's there, all right, but it's not burning real good, if you'll take a bellows, something that blows air, and blow air down on that fire, all of a sudden it'll become a raging conflagration. Well, that's what discussions and conflict, that's exactly. Air is talking. It's just oxygen. It's just air, just talking. And a lot of times a conflict that doesn't necessarily need to be a conflict, something that's a minor disagreement, but somebody just can't shut up. And so they'll throw oxygen on that fire. And it becomes a raging conflagration that never had to be. It just wasn't necessary. And a horse a lot of times, if we just, you can tell they'll get agitated. They'll get upset. They'll get cranky. Some horses more than others. That little bay mare will. I mean, she's got a spitfire little temper, and she's getting better, and she's coming along. And so what I do is unless it gets to a situation where I'm like, all right, she will just, if I meet her head to head, she'll just conflagrate, man. She'll get mad, and we're not going to get anything accomplished like that. And so I'm like, no, I'm not gonna butt heads with you. I'm not going to start anything. We'll just do a couple circles, and we'll just go around and just get your mind about you and just settle down. And we'll approach this again carefully and calmly. And so there's no fire. So there's no fight. The last podcast I did a subject that I knew was going to be, some folks are going to have a hard time with it. I thought about it for a long time. I chewed on it, meditated on it, and made sure that I understood what I was talking about. And so so then I put the podcast on, and and I had a friend call me. Now, this friend is he is a friend, and he's a man I have tremendous respect for. He's a very learned man. He's a very thoughtful man. He's a studied man. He's together, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. And so he called me, and he had just listened to the podcast, and he was perfect. All right, very respectful, very not. He was not contentious in any way. And so he called, and he's like, Dwayne, I think you missed the mark on this one, man. And so I said, well, what is it about it that you think was I missed the mark? And he told me. And I said, well, I can see your side and how you can see that, but I understand what I was saying, and I think my position is I think it's correct from a lot of years of experience and a lot of years of study, and I don't have any kind of heartburn at all that you don't see it the way I see it, and so you know, and it was all perfectly good. There was no fire. Now, if I had felt the need to aggressively defend my position, then I would have started a fire. I would have blown on something that would have turned into a fire. But we had a difference of opinion on a religious question of all things, all right? But it was approached by two thoughtful, mature adults in a calm, respectful manner, and both of us were allowed to lay out how we see that particular subject from our particular side, and there wasn't a fire. Why can't more people do that these days? Why do some of you people feel like you have to get on this channel and the horse stuff and throw a grenade in the middle of it because you see it differently? Why? When I go through and I read these comments, I'm like, I can just imagine what your personal life must be like. People must hate you, don't want to be around you. You must be the person that walks, when you walk in, everybody just kind of seizes up. Oh my. Are they going to like strike a match into the drapes? Because they just, what is it saying? Some people just want to watch the world burn. They just want to set it on fire to watch it burn. Why? Why? It's not necessary. And you're just burning your life up, and you're distorting and burning and charring other people's lives. Why can't you let them live in peace in the way they want to live? Okay? That is the big, and I'm gonna step into a place I don't normally step into, okay? But today in society, it's a major deal, all right? That is the problem with this LGBTQ plus whatever situation, all right? You can call yourself what you want. You can consider yourself to be whatever you want. Now, whether I think you're right or I think you're wrong doesn't matter, because it's not about me. I'm not the one that anybody has to answer to. Okay? So I don't insist that you change your view of who you are. Stop insisting that other people change their view of who you are. Other people's view don't matter. One day when I die, I got to stand before God. I believe that 100%. Not whether I'm going to go to heaven or not. That's already settled. All right? That's not. But you don't stand before me, and I don't stand before you. And so I feel like I can let you, as long as you're not trying to affect my life, I can let you do what you want. You can ride any kind of saddle you want. You can ride on any kind of saddle blanket you want. You can feed your horse donuts and sugar cubes if you want. It's your horse. I put out information, and you do what you want with it. And I'm not going to pick a fight with you over it, but I'm not going to let you pick a fight with me either. Okay? I don't need any more fires in my life. I've walked away from some really, really big fires that burnt me up. And a lot of them I started. And somebody would start a fire, and I'd throw the biggest log I could find on it. And of course it would, and it just went from there, and it just didn't end. And I finally matured to the point where I'm like, that's no way to live. That's just the actions of a troublesome, problematic human being. Okay, so just step back and let the fire go out. All right, just remove the fuel. Just take a jar and put it over the candle. There's no oxygen. The oxygen can be in the form of texting, telephone calls, Facebook, comments on YouTube channels, face to face, whatever. Just back away. Stop putting fuel on it. Stop adding oxygen to it. Let people make their own deal, and you make your own deal. And when somebody says, I disagree, then stop and look at what they're saying they disagree. Consider it. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. I could be wrong. I could be right on any given thing. Look at it. And if you consider that you're right, then let them have their opinion and don't feel the need to change it and just keep going. Okay? You don't answer to them. I mean, you answer to your boss if it's a work thing. You answer to your parents, if you're underage. You answer to your spouse to a degree, to some level or not, if you want peace in the family. But the rest of it, let the fire go out. And with your horse, you're the adult in the situation. Okay? They're only doing what their instinct tells them they have to do, or what their understanding tells them they need to do. That's all they're doing. Now, if you figure that you are more advanced and you're more intelligent and you're smarter than them, then by the same token, you should be smarter than them to the point that you can say, let's redirect this so that we can come to a calmer, slower understanding without a fight. I'm not going to add more fuel to this fire. The horse doesn't know. The horse doesn't know to not add more fuel to the fire. They don't know. They're just doing what they think has to be done. That's their understanding. That's their instinct. And that's all they got. Okay? So stop fighting with your horse. Stop fighting with your spouse, your significant other. Stop fighting with your friends. If you're fighting with your friends all the time, they're probably not friends anyhow. There's too much fire in this world. We're burning it up. All right, we're burning ourselves up. We're burning everything around us up. And we're going to wind up with nothing but coals and dirt, ashes, smoke. There won't be anything left. There won't be anything left of your life. There won't be anything left of your sanity. There won't be anything left of your inside. You'll have burned them all up with just anger and stress and just fights and fire. Stop before you burn your entire world down around your ears over things that just don't matter. Stop before you burn your relationship with your horse up and they buck you off and break your foolish, angry neck. Before you turn them into something that's always looking for a fight. Before they get the idea that, okay, this is what riding is. Riding is every time somebody gets on me, we have a pecking order fight to see who's boss today. And it has to be who's boss. And it's who's going to win the fight. And horses will get that. They will get that understanding of what things are. And they'll get it from us. We will teach them that everything is a fight. And may the best man win. No, a lot of times there's a conflict. May the calmest, wisest, humblest man win. And humility is not weakness. Humility is you're smaller than I am and you're weaker than I am, but you're getting in my face and I could break your head, but I'm not going to. That's humility. All right? Humility is I can do this to the horse and I can do that and I can do this and I can do that, but I'm not going to. All right? Have a little wisdom, have a little humility, and start putting out fires instead of building fires. Okay? All right. Got a little bit of news for the school for those who follow. I'm pretty excited about this. Mom and I are actually this year for the NFR. We're going to be in Vegas for 3 days. Not going to the NFR. I can't afford them tickets. Not interested in that. But we're going to be at Cowboy Christmas for 3 days. Our friends and our sponsor, Rand's Hat, they have a booth that'll be set up there at Cowboys Christmas, and we're going to be with them at their booth. And so if you're there and in Vegas or at the NFR in December, swing by and say hey. Swing by the booth at Rand's and come by and say hey to Mama and I, and it'd be fun. And hope to see you there. So other than that, I think that's it for today, and we'll catch you guys next time.